store, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
So with the production of all future projects kind of on pause right now, it's a little surprised that we're not getting very many big revelations for those. But we get to focus on the content that's already out and our TV series. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe. And of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
Tired.
Yeah?
But otherwise pretty good.
All right. All this quarantine time making you tired?
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of exhausting, you know?
That's for sure. I think everyone's going a little stir crazy, getting a little loopy. That's what we're here for, to help with that, right?
It's what we got to do, right?
That's right.
So we'll survive.
Yep.
We'll survive. We'll get through it. But in the meantime, we got to deal with a little stir craziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, where do you want to start, Doug? We want to start with let's start with the Mandalorian.
All right.
So there's a new Disney Plus series coming called Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And it's going to be hosted by Jon Favreau. Looks like this is going to be what, episodic? So
yes.
8 episodes?
It's going to be 8 episodes. My guess is this is going to be like an episode of this show for each of the episodes of season 1 of The Mandalorian. That's my guess. But if you're a fan of like The Walking Dead, you know they have that show called The Talking Dead, and they kind of talk about the show and spend just as much time on a show talking about the show as they had on the show itself, right? I get the feeling this is going to be similar, but probably more in depth in the behind the scenes stuff and what went into making it and things of that nature. They do say there'll be like a little roundtable aspect to it, but I got a feeling that's going to be more of the more insiders on the show, people that actually worked on the production. So if you like that kind of thing, it's definitely something new to look forward to. I like
the behind the scenes stuff that they do.
Yeah, for sure. As Star Wars fans for years we've done this, right? We dig into how they do stuff, how the film's made, not only the stories and stuff, but it's tell us the how, how'd you do it, that part too, especially with as innovative as Star Wars has always been, and The Mandalorian is no exception there. So,
right. And it'll be interesting to see, like one of the things with Star Wars live action TV has always been cost.
Oh, for sure.
And how are they going to manage cost and put out something that is, worthy of having the Star Wars title on it?
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see more in depth how they were able to make that happen. Because I'm sure we're going to see tons of innovations here in order to keep costs down.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the show was still ridiculously expensive compared to other, TV series.
Yeah, it was expensive, but I don't think there's anything else on TV or streaming, if you want to call it that compares. This is by far and away the closest thing you could get to a film quality as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I'd agree. And they didn't do it for, what would be feature film quality budget.
Right.
But it's got, feature film quality.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see the innovations made along the way to make that happen.
Yeah. Another point they make in this is that they'll be covering kind of some of the true influences of George Lucas and things of that nature. So I think we all kind of could pick that stuff out of the show itself, and it'll be interesting to get their takes on how that played into this, because at a time where it seems like George Lucas, the maker himself, is kind of pushed to the back burner a little bit sometimes on some of this stuff. This show seems to have really embraced his view of Star Wars, I guess. So.
Oh, I'd agree. Yeah, and it's coming out on probably the most fabulous day you could release a Star Wars product.
Oh, it's going to be a big day too.
Yeah. So it'll be coming out on May 4th.
May the 4th. Say it right, Joe.
May the 4th.
Yes, May the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, and this is good this year because, typically May 4th, we get a bunch of merchandise, we flood the stores, things like that.
Yeah.
That's not looking like that's going to be an option this year.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to see that we're still going to get, some Star Wars product to kind of, celebrate with.
Yes.
Because May the 4th is about celebrating Star Wars. So what
Yeah.
better way to do that than with new Star Wars content, as well as we'll be getting the last episode of season 7 of the Clone Wars on May the 4th. So
Yeah, and that's why I say it was going to be a big day, because
yes,
we'll have plenty to satisfy our store craziness on that day. That'll be good.
Yep. All right. Well, keeping with the Mandalorian, Rosario Dawson had some more comments to the what would be the way to put it? The frenzy around her.
Sure. Yeah.
And the rumor that she will be playing Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian.
Yep.
So she had some more comments to that, and in typical Star Wars interview fashion, she beats around the bush.
Right. So this was on the Variety After Show, and we're talking about a different show she just wrapped on. I forget the name of the show, but we're talking about Star Wars here. So The Mandalorian did come up, and here's how that went.
Mandalorian, has that been impacted at all by this?
That's not confirmed yet, but when that happens, I will be very happy, and we will definitely.
It's not
fans.
It's not confirmed yet.
There's no confirmation, so I'm very excited for that to be confirmed at some point. It's a possibility. If it happens, I mean, this is to the fans 1,001%. And I'm hoping, and I'm not trying to be greedy, but if since we're talking about Star Wars and we're talking about fans, like fan casting, because if I get Mandalorian, it's 1,001% because of fans.
That's not confirmed yet, but I'm really excited for it to be confirmed.
Exactly. And the rumors are Ahsoka's in season 2, and season 2's wrapped shooting. So
your work is done.
Yeah, exactly. I do believe she's just waiting on the word to be able to say, yes, I am in The Mandalorian as Ahsoka Tano. So,
just thinking, a good day for that might be
May the 4th.
May the 4th. That might be a good day to announce something like that.
It very well might be. So,
especially with season 7 wrapping up that day. So big Ahsoka story.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. I like that.
So,
yeah. Big Ahsoka story wraps. Behind the scenes show about the Mandalorian starts.
I'm just saying, they know how important this day is.
This is true.
This is coming at a time where we're uncertain on what we're going to be able to do for May the 4th.
Yeah.
We know it's not, even if stuff opens back up, it's still going to be opened back up in a limited capacity. So
Right.
we're not going to be able to do what we normally do. You know, you're not going to be flooding movie theaters to see, you know, all day marathons of Star Wars.
Exactly.
You know, it's not going to be that kind of year. So this would be the kind of thing that, you know, would help fuel that day.
I do like this thought. It's that's something that could really be uplifting for a lot of people. That'd be good.
So we'll see. I mean, that's just my speculation. We got this day coming up, and they seem to starting to throw stuff at it.
Yeah. Well,
and like I said, they know how important this day is to the fans, and
Yeah.
it's going to be different this year. So
well, maybe that's what she's alluding to with this next clip, because she does talk about Dave Filoni and having to see him on screen. So check this out.
Let's say Dave Filoni called you up and said, "Hey, Rosario, Ahsoka Tano." I mean,
And then I'd go.
there's fan art. I
I'd
thought
have
this
to
was a
make
done
sure
deal.
That I'd have to see it on FaceTime now these days. I'd have to see it live to like.
Oh, I'll tweet-
Someone just pranking me on the phone.
Yeah, she'd have to see Dave on FaceTime, otherwise she'd think he's pranking her. Okay, well, I wonder if maybe May the 4th would be one of those days where Dave gets her on FaceTime and puts it out there for all the world to see as an announcement. That might be something interesting.
I'm sure the first part of that interview got her a call from Dave Filoni anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
Rosario, come on,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Just shut up about it.
So I mean, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I mean, you'd want to see Dave Filoni's face with that kind of call.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to feel like you're being prank called.
Well, I got to tell you, this sort of thing is what's going on right now. All network television is being done this way, so this would be nothing out of the ordinary, you know, to have a big announcement this way. So I kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of like jumping on the bandwagon for this sort of thing to happen. Could be.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely on the bandwagon to have Ahsoka Tano in live action.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So, Daisy Ridley.
Yes. Daisy Ridley. She was on a show and had some things to say about the and you may have something to say about this, but the headline read Daisy speaks out about the backlash of the Rise of Skywalker, which when you dig into it, it's not really that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have a real problem with headlines right now.
Yes.
I mean, because like we just talked about Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
And you look at all the headlines for this is Rosario Dawson breaks her silence on The Mandalorian. And then I listen to it, I'm like, that's literally the same shit she said a month ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So
this is not.
Yeah.
This is not good headline writing.
No. Now, granted, we all like to hear what everyone has to say, even if it's the same thing, right? Over and over. That's why we try to do things like this and play these clips and stuff. But it's just a reinforcement. It's not, you know, breaking silence, you know.
Right.
So Daisy Ridley, I just for the record too, I am going to say that I'm not real crazy with the way this question was framed, but she does a good job answering it, and was about the reactions to the Rise of Skywalker. And oh, by the way, credit where credit's due. This show is the drag cast with Nina West. So here we go.
How has this changed your life in that way? Knowing that the fandom is really fantastic and wonderful and awful.
I mean, it's changed film by film, honestly. If, like 98%, it's so amazing. This last film was really tricky. Like January was not that nice. It was weird. Like I felt like all of this love that we'd sort of been shown the first time around, I was like, where's the love gone? And it's sort of, I don't know, it's that tricky thing. I watched the documentary of the making of this week, and it's so filled with love. And I think it's that tricky thing of when you're part of something that's so filled with love, and then people, you know, like everyone's entitled to not like something, but I don't know, it feels like it's changed slightly. But I think in general, that's because social media and what have you.
So they go down the social media route, obviously. So, I guess I don't know. I guess I can go right into this next question, because that's kind of the direction this whole thing goes, and I do have kind of a take on these things. But here's the next one.
If you think if the culture has shifted because of something like social media, so they think their opinion, they think that they are in fact they have creative sway and say.
I think it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more that, I don't know. I don't know. I think in general, people share so much on social media that, like, if I went to I don't have social media anyway, but if I went to a film and didn't like it, I just wouldn't tweet about it. But it's such a conversation, and it always has been again. So it's sort of fine. I guess now conversations are just more public. So there's stuff that I wouldn't have seen. But honestly, like, trying to scroll through my newsfeed in January and trying to not see Star Wars stuff, I'd see headlines and be like, oh my God, this is so upsetting. So it's been tricky, but then it's like, you know, having that thing of, I feel really proud of it and I'm so thrilled to be part of it. Yeah, but it's a funny thing.
So what we've gotten so far is there was some negative things that came up in social media, in Daisy's social media in January. And as of the time of this interview, she no longer is on social media. So taking it from that point, let's move forward here just a touch.
Is this why you left social media? Everything?
No, I think everybody sort of tried to mold that into something else. It really wasn't a story. Like, I was asked to go on it, and at the time I was like, okay. And then it sort of got to a point where I didn't want to be on it, and I was at my friend's house in LA, and I remember being like, oh, I don't want to be on Instagram. And they were like, well, why don't you come up? And I was like, oh. And it was weirdly like a nice autonomous decision, because I was like, oh, I actually don't have to be on it. This is this is nice. And I always had like a limit to what I shared anyway. And honestly, like, my life isn't that exciting. So
I have to say that part right there is kind of the most relevant for me. And I think it's very smart on Daisy Ridley's part. She was asked to go on social media. I'm assuming that would be from the company, maybe Lucasfilm, and because, you know, they do understand that having a portal to interact with fans is valuable to the company, right? And so then when she realized, hey, I don't need to be doing this anymore, she got off, and that was a smart move. And I think probably one of the healthiest things that she's done. So, and as she put it, it wasn't that big of a deal. She just, you know, hey, why don't you just not go on social media? Oh, hey, good idea. And it was that simple. Yeah. So, your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, no argument. I think it's great that, she made that decision, realized it wasn't good for her. Wasn't for her, not necessarily wasn't good for her.
Right.
It's just not the type of person that she is, and she shouldn't be forced into doing something like that. That's not the type of person she is.
Right. Like you said,
to be really active on social media does take a special kind of person.
Sure.
It's not for everybody.
Exactly.
And I think that's a good message. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Right. That is very true.
And you definitely don't have to do anything that makes you, not comfortable.
Right.
If you're on social media and you really don't like it, you don't like, being, there is this idea with social media that people do feel like they have to share every aspect of their lives all the time.
Yeah.
And it is an inherent thing. Like you just feel that way when you're on there. And yeah, she made the decision that she don't need that. So hey, good for her.
It's good. And on that subject, I kind of want to, I had a thought. Okay. So we all know I am a from episode 4 on fan. Okay. I was a kid when episode 4 came out, and I have been a fan ever since. Now, I got to say, long before there was social media and we had this if the movies go down this kind of path of a story arc, this part of the fandom likes it, or if it goes down this other path, the other part of the fandom likes it, and, they're constantly clashing with each other. Yeah, I grew up in a time when liking Star Wars could be viewed as I don't want to say a bad thing, but it was like, when you're hitting a point in your life where you're going from a kid into preteen into teenager, right? And everyone's awkward and, going through all this stuff, and someone found out, oh, you're a Star Wars fan? That was a button. That was a button they could push and push and push, and they never let up on it. Okay? But This was all in person. And I was there for that. And I dealt with it. And you come out a stronger person for it. I understand not everybody can, but it's... I have a hard time with this Star Wars fans and being divided, okay? Because there was once a time when it was Star Wars fans or not. And
yeah, and one thing I'd like to say on that matter is, like, even in my time growing up, like, I didn't really go around saying I was a Star Wars fan.
Right.
Okay, like, because it was not, it was like being a Star Trek fan or something like it. It was just, it was like the nerdy thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And that was back when the nerdy thing to do was not cool.
Right.
Like now, like being geeky is cool,
yes.
right? Like,
yes.
so it's a different thing now. The one thing I dislike is Star Wars fans of age, especially, should know what it's like to be bullied about Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it absolutely saddens me to see some of these same people bully people on the internet about Star Wars. Like, you are a Star Wars fan who probably at one time was bullied about Star Wars. And now you're doing it to someone else. I dislike that. We are a fandom that has dealt with bullying from the bad side of it, being the ones that were bullied about it. We should have learned from that and not started dishing it out to other people.
Well, I think the dishing came from the other side, to be honest. first. So,
well, but you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying, but I will, just throw that out there as well, because there, I don't know. I have seen a lot from both sides, and I don't think there's really room for it to be there at all. So,
right, and that's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and I'll say this too. Even if you say it came from the other side, we've been able to deal with this for years and just go on.
Yeah, oh, that's the whole point, right?
Just go on.
Yeah.
Don't sink to someone else's level. This and okay, you want to discuss Star Wars and you want to have a conversation about Star Wars and discuss the merits of this point or that point, fine, do that. That's good. When you start attacking people personally over Star Wars, that's when it just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
The kind of vitriol and nastiness that I see is saddening. It's fine to discuss the merits of this film or that film. Fine. But yeah, I don't know.
No,
this is a
I'm with you. I love debates about Star Wars. I love talking story. I love talking the characters and the world that is Star Wars. But the attacks of fans on fans, which from whichever direction to whichever direction, that's
we've been saying since we started this show, we need to come to a point where we just agree to disagree.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, look, whether you love The Last Jedi or don't,
or The Rise of Skywalker,
or The prequels.
Yep.
Or the special editions, or whatever little thing you want to nitpick.
Exactly. Yes.
We can agree to disagree on what we like and don't like, and we can discuss the merits of that.
Yep.
And hell, you might be discussing the merits and someone might change their mind. Like, oh, well, I never really looked at it that way.
Right.
Or they might not. Stop being assholes.
That's the best way to put it right there. I like that.
All right. So, the crisis we're faced with in the world right now has had some negative effects on things. It's to be expected.
Yes.
But we got to do what we got to do. And one thing that we had discussed early on in this is the fate of Star Wars Celebration this year.
Ah, yes.
While there has been no official announcement, I'm pretty sure the remarks from the California governor over this past week have pretty much sealed that fate. When asked about, mass gatherings, going forward, California Governor Gavin Newsom said that mass gatherings in June, July, and August are very unlikely.
Yep.
So Star Wars Celebration taking place in August falls within that window.
Right.
So I would expect to see some announcement soon.
Yeah, I would
about
hope so.
What's happening with Celebration.
Yes. We've all experienced it. We've all seen it. There's been a rollout kind of or we'll call it, say, like dominoes falling of events and things happening. We've seen, schools close. Then later on, it's the school is closed for the rest of the year, and then we're told sports, spring sports won't be played, things like that. In everything in life. I'm giving an example, right? So, but it came as like dominoes falling. It wasn't all at once. We didn't know everything like all at one time. So I think this is going to kind of be the same way. We're going to have to keep our eyes open for for these things that we have planned moving forward. And as soon as we hear about anything pertaining to Star Wars that any of us might have a vested interest in, we'll certainly let you know as soon as we know. But I'm sure they're going to try and get the economy rolling again, obviously, and I'm sure they're going to try and again roll it out slowly, because we don't want to just have everybody gather all together all at once and then have this thing kick right back up again. So
yeah, like this has been a hard time.
Correct. Yes.
And the last thing we want to do is make that all for nothing.
Yes. So
stuff like Celebration, if it gets delayed, so be it, right? It's the right thing to do.
I would agree with that. Yes.
I mean, I've been to 2 celebrations now.
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you there is no way to stay distant.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Right.
So
well, you did mention there was some thoughts being kicked around though, didn't you?
Yes. I did see some recommendations from some news sites that they should do it online.
Online
on the internet.
How about no?
Yeah. I mean, while we talked about E3 back a few weeks ago,
right,
we talked about how that made sense that they could do E3 online, because E3's primary focus is new product.
Yeah.
And introducing new product, getting fans hyped.
Sure.
So yes, an online event makes sense for that.
Yep.
Something like Celebration is not about new products. Yes, there are panels that you get sneak peeks and things like that. Sure. But those are the minority in what happens at a Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Star Wars Celebration is about going there and seeing stuff like the diorama builders, meeting celebrities, these panels that celebrate the past of Star Wars. It's a celebration. We celebrate this stuff.
Yeah.
Panels for podcasts, just panels for artists, the art gallery. You watch people paint Star Wars stuff in real time.
Yeah.
This is what Star Wars Celebration is about. It's about celebrating Star Wars. It's not about the new product.
Right.
Yes, those new items do get the highlight with everybody else around the world. But the people that are there in the convention center, that's not the main reason they're there.
Yeah. And it's also about interacting with other fans, right? I mean,
yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity to meet new fans and see all kinds of people. We talked earlier about them doing announcements and things like that on May the 4th, and that makes sense. But to try and squeeze a whole Star Wars Celebration into some sort of online experience, I don't know. I just don't see it.
I mean, if you've ever watched a panel at a celebration, the audience interaction level in a panel,
yes,
is crazy.
Yes.
How do you do that online?
Yeah.
You read text from somebody? It's not the same.
It's not the same.
And I think all Star Wars fans would agree we'd rather put this off than diminish the experience.
Yeah, I would agree.
Put it off, be safe, but I can tell you for sure, no Star Wars fan that's looking forward to Celebration is like, oh yeah, I'd rather have it now and have it online.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No. Maybe some of the first timers that have never been to one might say that. I doubt it, because I think if you are now planning to go to a celebration for the first time, is you now know what Celebration is about.
Yeah.
And it truly is different than every other convention I've ever been to. It truly is a celebration. So it's not like any other convention. It's wild. And it's not something you can do online. I can tell you that from firsthand experience.
Right on.
So, yeah, I would say it's going to be put off. I would say next year, whether it be August next year or sooner. I don't know if they'll put it off an entire year, but
well, as soon as we hear something, we'll pass the word on.
Right on. All right. So speaking of life changing and quarantine things like that, Melody Hobson.
Yes.
She had some things to say about George's advice.
Right. So
throughout this
was something that yeah, you and I, Joe, are into history, and we like to make connections like that, and I love it when I see the guy who made this franchise that we love so much kind of looks at the same thing. So Melody Hobson was kind of like, the way she puts it was, I was a little whiny, and he looked at me one day and said, and in reference to being stuck at home, okay, she was a little whiny about it. And George says, Melody, Europeans lived in bunkers for 5 years during World War II. Just think about that. Bombing around you, rations, 5 years. It's been a week and you have everything you need. So, yes, we're all going stir crazy. We talked about that. That's for sure.
Yes.
So, but she goes on to say, a few days later, she's starting to get that way again. And George pipes in with, how long did Anne Frank live in that attic? So she said she looked it up. She goes, 2 years. I looked it up, and then she died. And then he took it a step further and was like, and you're not in a Syrian camp right now. So a little perspective from George. I like the way that he has a way to put all of this into perspective, and probably everybody is going through this and living through it in varying degrees of how well they're taking it and what's going on with them. And I there is some value in being able to look at what's going on and say, there are people in history who had it much worse.
Oh, for sure.
And we need to buckle down. We'll get through this. It might take a while, but it will happen.
Yep. That's good advice.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good advice.
From the maker. I love it.
From the maker. Oh, yeah, you think it's rough? Look outside. You see any bombs?
Right.
Open the fridge. See that? Food.
Food, right. Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And you know what? Good for Melody to share this, because there's a lot of, going around, especially, the celebrities are kind of taking some flack right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they tweet about how tough it's been and things like that. And people are like, oh, yeah? Your mansion?
Right. That's what where I was saying everyone's going through this in varying degrees of how it's affecting them, but everybody had a normal. And now that's different for everybody.
Yes.
So, like I said, it's even though we're all going through the same thing, it's different to some degree for everyone. So,
yep, the best thing we can do is just keep doing what we're doing and help those you can.
Exactly.
Have something to add to the conversation, or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, at The Wars and More on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Wars and More. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so it's that time where we get back to the Clone Wars. God, I love saying that.
Yes, I know. Especially this one.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that's rough about that is like each week that we say it, I know we're 1 week closer to being done.
Yeah, I know. But
I mean, we only got like 2 or 3 weeks left of this. I think 2 weeks, right? Because the final episode's coming out on the 4th.
Right.
So that means we're getting a third episode on the first, the first.
Yeah.
And it's coming fast.
I can already tell you though that what I can't wait to do is sit down and watch all of these episodes right in a row.
Yes.
Because I got a feeling this is gonna make us a Clone Wars movie to end it off with.
Well, yeah, and the ending of this one showed that.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't stop at all a good place to stop.
I know.
the created by George Lucas came up and I was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah. So
we're talking about season 7, episode 10 or episode 9, Old Friends Not Forgotten.
Yes. So,
and go ahead.
I was just going to say, we had our Disney Plus logo come up, and then we went to the old school Lucasfilm Limited title card, which right away made my jaw hit the floor, I got to say, because that was like, wow, that is awesome.
Yep, I like that. Then I like that we got a red title card
with the original fanfare.
Yep.
Oh my God. That was John Williams right there. That's what I'm saying.
I do have one little complaint.
Oh, what is that?
After that was over and like the text came up on the screen.
Yeah.
I felt like that was done in the old Microsoft Works program.
Oh, really?
It just looked like red text on a black screen.
You're
like,
talking about the part 1?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I was like, man, you did all that. And then you made this in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, but that's it. It reminded me more of
Now I said small complaint.
Yeah, I get it, but it reminded me more of like the old films.
Okay.
For whatever reason. I think it was still throwback to that. You know, we had the original Lucasfilm Limited, you know, it's not the one that fades in with all the swirls around it and stuff. It's just block letters. Some people might not like that, but it took me back, and it was like, wow, this is cool. You know,
yeah, I just wish the font used would have been a little more bold. You know,
okay.
It just looked like really thin text and a really big black background.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like it's kind of weird, but like I said, small complaint.
Yeah.
Not something I need to dwell on or get mad about. It didn't take me out of it.
Gotcha.
But wow, this episode was awesome front to back.
Yeah.
Ahsoka reunited with Anakin.
Yeah. So before we even get there, another thing. During Tom Kane's introduction into what's going on, you know, catching us up on what's happening, they showed clips, and one of them I saw and knew right away. It was Ayla Secura on Fallujah. I thought, ooh, we're there. You know what I'm saying? We are at that point in time. So, and we knew we would be, but It's like, that's where she is when Order 66 happens. And here we are. They're setting us up for all of that. So
Yeah. And they continue to do that in a big way. I did like Anakin's introduction in this episode.
yes.
He's just walking up. What are you hiding for?
I gotta tell you, this right here reminded me more of Anakin and Obi-Wan at the beginning of episode 3 than I've seen thus far in the Clone Wars. It was like, from what I've seen so far, they're doing a pretty good job of making that tie. So I look forward to seeing maybe a little more, maybe not. I mean,
I don't think we're going to see much more of that.
yeah, we might not. So,
yeah, I did like Rex in the 501st hanging out underneath that bridge.
yeah, that was good.
So, they fly now.
Yes, they do. Yeah, apparently they did way back then. Yeah,
Yeah. That made that seem even more preposterous.
yes,
Like,
yeah, hilarious.
oh man, they fly now. But yeah, I like that Anakin just walks up to him, says he's going to surrender, all to bait the tactical droid out.
Yes, yes, it was excellent.
So and that also just really brought to light, like, there's been mentions of that with the tactical droid,
Right.
but the whole reason why they are having trouble at all with these droid armies is because of these tactical droids.
Yes. Yeah. for
Without
sure.
them, they're easy to defeat.
Yep.
So
Uh,
that is the improvement from, episode 1 to now.
yeah. So, my other thought was, do you imagine this is another one of those times that Anakin's referring to when he tells Obi-Wan how many times he saved him?
Probably.
It could be. I just thought, it might be. Might be, maybe not. I imagine a Filoni answer. If I were to ever be so privileged to ask the man that question, maybe. If it is for you, that's great.
Yep, that's about how it would go.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we're getting to a point anymore. We don't even have to ask Dave. We know his answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see. So, I gotta let's go on to the meeting between Anakin and Ahsoka
Yes.
and Obi-Wan, and I did have a problem with how this was all introduced.
Okay.
They came to Anakin and said someone was contacting him using this call sign Fulcrum.
Fulcrum. Yes.
I had a problem with that.
Why is that?
If this was a call sign that Anakin had used,
Uh-huh.
that Anakin was familiar with, and you're now going to tie that to Ahsoka,
Yep.
and then you're going to use this call sign to shield you from Discovery, from the Empire later on in Rebels.
Well,
I feel like Anakin would get right. He would catch right onto that. Vader at that time, he would catch right onto Fulcrum.
but would he know that call sign was even still being used at that point?
I mean, would he not be privy to that kind of intelligence?
I don't know. Because we do have the moment in Rebels where they are both in ships, but they sense each other's presence. So,
Right.
okay, that's
I'm just
it.
saying before that, before you know that Ahsoka is Fulcrum, they have this Fulcrum running around giving them information. They're trying to track Fulcrum down.
Yeah.
They don't know who Fulcrum is. I just felt like with someone causing that much of a ruckus, Vader would be involved.
Well, this calls for a Rebels rewatch. Hey, with the Clone Wars ending.
I thought it was a neat little nod to, tie everything together.
Yes.
But at the same time, I was like, which I mean, I guess these episodes were written before Rebels, right?
I believe so.
So,
and that might also be far enough down the road where, Fulcrum might drop off of Anakin's radar.
Either that or she was using that because she wanted him to know.
It's possible.
But she didn't know Anakin was Vader, so okay.
Yeah. That's the other place I was going to head to, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little odd to me. And once again, minor.
Yeah.
Complaint.
So what'd you think of Anakin getting his first taste of, down to business Ahsoka?
Oh, I mean, he seemed kind of hurt by it.
You think it's hurt or just kind of like taking it all in? Like,
I mean,
seeing
the first time where they kind of walk away, the look on his face kind of signified like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, is she not happy to see me? Like,
yeah,
I mean, he essentially raised her into what she is now.
Yes.
So he has, those feelings towards her. And she was kind of cold with him. For good reason. They had to get down to business. They had to get this handled.
Right.
And she can't let her emotions take over. Because you could tell she was kind of in a little bit of turmoil there with being with him again.
Yeah.
Because she wants to be there with Anakin.
Yeah, I think it's
her problems with the council.
Yeah, exactly. And she even talks about how she felt and then how she came around back around again to the understanding of basically what the Jedi should be, kind of thing. And moving forward to where she's talking about all that, she even chastises Obi-Wan. Now you're just playing politics again. It's like, ooh, that was rough.
She did that a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She was not pleased with Obi-Wan.
Right.
But Obi-Wan's one of them council members that she has an issue with right now.
Yeah.
They're the ones that turned their back on her.
Yeah, very true.
So Anakin is being spared from that because Anakin believed in her the whole time.
Yep.
So, I mean, she said as much as she was leaving. It was not because of Anakin.
Right. So, I guess from there, Anakin decides to divide up the 501st, which was cool because this is an excellent explanation as to how Rex and some of the 501st join Ahsoka, and Anakin still has the 501st to attack the Jedi Temple. So I like it.
It's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think that's where you were going with it, but yeah.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. It also explains why Rex was away from all that and able to, separate himself from the Empire.
Yes.
So
I think it's just going to be interesting to see what plays out in the next few episodes here. Because I got a feeling we're going to get to see what happens when Order 66 goes down on Mandalore. So, and, you know, how Ahsoka plays into that as well. That'll be interesting.
yeah, I never really thought of that. It never really even crossed my mind. I was so focused on, you know, the crazy thing is we know all these characters that survive.
Yeah.
But we know the story is going to be deep, and it's going to have a lot of repercussions.
Yes.
But we don't know. We don't understand how that can be because we know of all these characters that survive. So it's an interesting thing being in the middle.
Yeah, I know. This
is about as middle as you can get.
Uh-huh.
And still not know how anything's going to play out and what repercussions are to be had. And what perspectives are going to change.
Yeah.
We may change our perspective on certain things that happened after this.
Well, we've been told as much by Sam Witwer and I believe Ashley Eckstein as well. That.
Oh yeah, no, I did see a tweet this morning.
Yeah.
Sam Witwer said he just finished watching The Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah.
He said everything he said stands.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Because he was certainly playing this up. He's as how they put it. I'm paraphrasing, but may change the way you look at Star Wars as a whole, kind of thing. It's like, ooh, okay,
yeah. So and coming from Sam, that's a very credible source.
Absolutely.
This guy gets Star Wars.
Yes.
In a big way.
Yes.
Probably way better than I do. But
so going back to the episode, this was nice. It was awesome to see Ahsoka and Rex fall right back into where they were before, you know, race you down to the surface, that kind of thing, you know. And that whole sequence there with Ahsoka, it was just like, we are right back into good old Clone Wars, like I remember, you know. And
oh, I was right there with Rex, man, when Rex said some things never change.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm watching this going, yep.
Exactly.
And this is why we love this show.
That's when she takes off out of the gunship, and
oh, that was spectacular.
He chuckles. He's like, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I feel. That's awesome. So
yeah, that whole sequence was spectacular.
Yeah, for sure. And it finishes with her with spectacular landing on that platform, an explosion behind her. It was like, oh, that is like, I need that as a poster.
Oh, for sure. In fact, I think that's going to be my next desktop background.
Heck yeah.
That was an awesome shot. And it let everyone know that, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, right. Awesome.
No, it was nice to see Ahsoka back in action again, you know, in this time period.
Yes.
A little different to see her with blue blades.
Yeah. I think that was Anakin's doing, right? I mean,
he said as much, you know,
yeah.
It made them better even.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was in reference to the blue or just the design.
I don't know.
But yeah, so we've seen her with green. Now we've seen her with blue, and we end up seeing her with white.
Yep.
So a lot of growth to Ahsoka's lightsabers even.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one thing I wanted to touch on. It's not coming to mind.
Okay.
Oh, the show of respect for Ahsoka
Oh yeah.
from the clones.
Yes.
And Anakin said a lot about the clones and his understanding of the clones. We spoke about that a lot over the last couple years even,
Yeah.
which was Anakin's level of care for the clones and his, almost attachment to them.
Yep.
And now we see a little bit of an expansion on that. He really understands them. He understands what's important to them. They're programmed to do certain things, in a military sense. So it's natural that their respect for their commanders is based in that military sense.
Right.
So it's not like they don't have this level of respect and things like that because they're becoming overly humanized. It's because that is their programming.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a neat little thing, and her shock to it, like they shouldn't call me commander anymore. They shouldn't salute me. Then she comes around the corner to see they've painted her helmets.
Yeah.
To reflect her markings.
That was a cool scene. I know we saw it like as part of the trailer and everything.
Promo packet.
Yeah. But it was nice to see.
Yes,
cool.
and to see Ahsoka's response to that, like it was neat. It was a cool scene.
Yeah, for sure.
It kind of almost shows the growth we've had with Ahsoka as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we got to have with really few characters. Okay. Yeah, there's Anakin. There's Luke. There's Ahsoka. But there's relatively few characters in the Star Wars universe. We get this from their start all the way through kind of thing,
I would venture to say that we have more information and more representation of growth for Ahsoka than any other character in Star Wars.
I would have to agree. I would have to agree. For sure.
We've almost followed Ahsoka's story longer than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Just in just watch time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
wow.
She's probably leading in minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, on screen moments. Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so we get to the part where she and Bo-Katan split up and Ahsoka goes after Maul and Bo-Katan goes after, what's his name? Yeah, I forget.
I don't remember.
Prime, yeah, whatever.
That guy,
yeah, who's in charge. And eventually Bo-Katan finds out that Maul has set a trap for Ahsoka.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
Well, not a trap for Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That Ahsoka was walking into a trap. How's that? Yeah.
Right.
But
it was a trap set for Kenobi.
Yeah. And I gotta say, when I thought about it, it makes so much sense that Maul would think Kenobi would be the one responding. And this goes right back to the statement Kenobi made earlier about I can't let my emotions, affect my decision making in this. And he didn't. he did what he knew he had to do to go help the Chancellor, and Maul was kind of expecting him to come help out Satine's sister, basically.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was definitely the trap, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
He would have thought that Kenobi would have come to, well, in his line of thinking, to avenge Satine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right. That's the dark side way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not what Jedi do. It shows Maul's lack of understanding for his opponent.
Right.
But I did like Kenobi's comments on that. Yeah, when you face Maul, be best to capture him.
Yes.
He doesn't have a habit of staying dead.
Yeah, I killed him once. Oh. So
I did like that.
It was funny, yes.
But how did you like Maul's introduction there?
It was awesome.
It was literally the end of the episode.
Yes.
It's like, hey, here's Maul.
Yeah. That, man. Sam's just hitting it out of the park here with Maul. I don't know. It's like,
he conveys that rage.
Yes.
So well. I mean, it's something that we've seen from Maul from the very beginning, just always enraged.
Right.
So I like it. And he takes that voice from episode 1 where he was less enraged. He was focused on revenge.
Yes.
For the Sith. But he was less enraged then. But since his death, he's just been a ball of rage. Nothing he does is from a line of rational thought.
Right.
It's all about, 1, getting Kenobi, and 2, just causing chaos.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a fabulous job by Sam, even for the 2 lines he had.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling we're going to see a whole lot more moving forward, and it's going to be spectacular.
I can't wait to get to that lightsaber fight.
Yeah, I know.
We know it's coming.
It's coming.
Saw it in the trailer.
Yes.
Just seeing Ahsoka's lightsaber work in this episode just pumped me up for that even more.
Right.
And then not only is just the prospect of that being like exciting, but Ray Park is actually doing mocap for this.
Yes, I know. Oh.
So we're going to see the most convincing Maul.
Yeah, ever animated before, right? Oh.
Yeah. So and you don't bring in Ray Park to do motion capture for this lightsaber fight if it isn't going to be something just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And just looking forward to seeing how this story progresses, because this was, for a first episode, it was beyond my expectations.
Yes, me too. I gotta say, I am more excited now than ever. And I just from this one episode, I want to throw this other thing out here. This, we kind of at the end of talking about the episode, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just had this thought watching this episode that I thought, wow, they could have used this storytelling technique and kind of branched a new series off of the sequel series. Okay. Stay with me.
Yep.
I think we could have had a sequel series that focused more on our classic characters. Okay. And we had our new characters interact with our classic characters in more defined moments in time. And then these films would have had a whole lot more room to breathe. And we could focus on both our classic characters and our new characters in their own arenas. And we would have been set up for more Star Wars moving forward, going down the Rey, Finn, and Poe path.
Right. This is a line of thinking that we thought Resistance was going to take us down.
Yeah.
Albeit in the middle of the story.
Yes.
We thought this was going to help us rebuild the Resistance off screen. So when we got to a reformed Resistance in The Rise of Skywalker, it wouldn't feel so awkward.
Yeah.
It did not do that.
Right.
Resistance was good for what it set out to do. We had a different idea of what they were setting out to do.
Yes.
But I think it achieved their goals.
Yeah.
Which was a young kid's Star Wars story.
Yeah, for sure. And,
so it achieved that goal.
And now granted, I am speaking about this with 2020 hindsight and all that. I understand all that. But looking back at things now, I just imagine a sequel trilogy to wrap up the Skywalker saga, focusing on our classic characters with Rey, Finn, and Poe, interacting with them in the sequel trilogy at certain points, and then going back to their own trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And showing what's going on alongside what's going on in the sequel trilogy, if that makes sense.
So let me get this straight. You are lobbying for more Star Wars.
Of course.
Yes, I agree with the idea you're tossing out there. The Clone Wars has done a good job of enhancing the films along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can go off and tell other stories that don't have nothing to do with the films, don't enhance them in any way.
Right.
But you can still tell other stories and have fun with it.
Yeah.
But you can have these episode arcs that have, weight.
Yeah.
Have repercussions in the greater universe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great idea. They should have done that. They still could.
Yeah.
They could totally do a Clone Wars like spinoff for the sequel trilogy, and it would do nothing but help it.
And I hope they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say so. On that note, I do have something here that I want to do that. I don't know. I'm probably looking into things way too much here, and I'm going to just say that up front. But
no way.
Yeah. Earlier in the show, we played clips of Daisy Ridley, right? And there was another. I was just listening to the way Daisy Ridley was reacting as this host was talking, kind of setting up things, and I don't know. My mind just starts going to, maybe there will be more Star Wars with Daisy down the road. So I don't know, but just listen to the way she's kind of like, hawing around about this,
Okay.
And really finishing off a 9-film series.
Mm.
And closing the book on this, right? And closing
Yeah.
on these.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Anyway,
Yep, that's totally done. Totally done. You're right.
I don't know. I had all these thoughts going on after watching the Clone Wars, and I was like, wow, maybe they could, they could still with like animation like you talked about, or maybe it would have been a good route to go with movies or whatever. And then just listening to Daisy kind of react there is like, closing the book on The Skywalker saga. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, but here's the hoping.
Meanwhile,
right?
Dave Filoni's like, that's how you do it.
Exactly.
Right there. So before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
I do want to ask, you have been telling me we got 7 seasons of the Clone Wars over how many years now?
Oh, what?
When
2008?
did this debut?
2008, I believe.
2008.
Yeah.
So since 2008, you have been telling me how you thought this series was going to end.
Well, I didn't know
And
in
that-
2008.
Well, I mean, it was probably pretty close to that.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You told me that you thought this series was always going to end with Anakin and Obi-Wan being called away because the Emperor, or because Palpatine, the Chancellor, little slip there because it's a bad dude.
Right.
Had been kidnapped.
Yes.
And when I saw it in this episode, I was like, oh man. Doug's going right now.
It's funny. I didn't even see it that way. I just, to me, it was almost, knowing that we had this arc coming, knowing where we were on the timeline, it was just kind of a foregone conclusion to me that it was going to happen. It happened earlier in the arc than I thought it was going to happen, to be honest about it. I thought this was going to be maybe episode 3 of the arc, something like that.
Well, I think the placement here is this is their exit.
Yes.
And this is letting us know from this moment on
they're busy.
This is Ahsoka's story.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's been the case with the Clone Wars all along.
Yep.
It became less of a story of, the time in between episodes 2 and 3 and more of a story of Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
And right here, it let us know we're wrapping up the Clone Wars, but we're wrapping up Ahsoka's story in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So I thought the placement of that was fantastic. It let you know that, like I said, Anakin and Obi-Wan's involvement in this story is over.
Yeah. Now,
so
I will say there's things now that I don't know if they're going to overlap into the Ahsoka novel at all. But, for those who have read it, you kind of know what I'm talking about. There's things that Ahsoka has now that she won't have for long. Just put it that way. If I don't spoil anything,
I think it's okay to spoil it.
Okay.
At this point in the game.
So, Ahsoka leaves her lightsabers on Rex's false grave in the novel. So, and this is all having to do with the siege and immediately following and things like that. So her white lightsabers we see in Rebels, those are different sabers. So,
oh yeah, I could have told you that.
Well, just saying.
I mean, the hilts are different.
Yes. So, but that's why, because she leaves her sabers on Rex's false grave just to kind of help solidify the notion that he'd be there, that it's him, because, it's a clone doing a DNA test. Anyway, but
yeah. Well, the DNA came back positive for Commander Rex.
Exactly.
It also came back positive for Commander Cody.
Right. So,
and 3.5 million other guys.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if we're going to get to see any of that now moving forward. I love the fact that this is going to be more of Ahsoka's story in the Siege of Mandalore, and how it plays out. And I'm, Order 66, how much of that do we get to see? This will be really interesting. I can't wait.
I agree. If you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts, Doug?
No, I think I've done too much of that already.
All right. We'll talk next week.